Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Emmy, and I make Paladins videos, particularly on the support champions. This is going to mark a new series on my channel called Paladins Back in Time. I've played Paladins for almost 6 years now, right now I'm at 5, but I really enjoy looking back at Paladins in the past years and seeing how it's changed and grown, how things have been added and taken away. These are really interesting concepts to me. So there's going to be videos on this channel looking back in time at certain mechanics or certain skins or ways that it was done at the time that possibly would be really interesting to look at now and just really cool to look back at. So I hope you stick around for the series. I'm going to be starting with what I'm going to be calling the Talent Scrub update, which was version 2.1.3 when Amani was introduced. It was on January 16th, 2019, and up until that time, each champion had 4 talents. Now they have 3, and it's been something that has remained that way since this update. So whenever this update came out, each champion got 1 talent taken away, and since then, most of these have never been reintroduced and have just kind of been forgotten. So I kind of want to look at all of them and see how either outrageous they are or how it would have affected the meta or led to today's meta. There's just a lot of things that could be really interesting to look at here. And personally, when I was researching for this, I had a lot of fun. Not every champion that we currently have is going to have had 4 talents, because obviously it's any champion that was released prior to January 2019. So there's 39 champions in that pool, and some of these cards are insane. We're going to start off here with Androxus and his Darkstalker card. Netherstep now has 3 separate charges and is no longer linked. I am no Androxus main. In fact, I'm awful at Androxus. But this was a really cool card, and as of 2 days ago, we now know that in Season 6, this card may be returning, which is really exciting because people really love this card. So I'm gonna have to put this in the re-add category. Ash. Rally here. Assert Dominance now charges 15% faster, stuns enemies for 2 seconds, and causes them to take 35% more damage. I'm gonna be so honest. I loved this card. I used this card, I really enjoyed this card, and it definitely would be pretty broken today. Something that you're going to notice as a theme here is Evil Mojo trying to take out things that are damage buffing, since they tend to be a little bit more broken in game and they don't want people to rely on only damage buffs from their team. So this is one of those examples. I would have to put this in the keep out category simply because I think it would be a little frustrating. Barrack. Hair Trigger. Blunderbuss fires 30% faster. I remember this card, and it wasn't great. It sounds like it'd be great, but it just kind of was underwhelming, so I didn't see many people pick this card, and I feel like his cards now are better than this one is, so I'd have to put it in the keep out category. Bomb King. Demolition. Grumpy Bomb destroys all shields when it explodes, and its blast radius is increased by 30%. I hated this talent. It was such a pain to fight against. It was a little broken because any shield, it didn't matter what it was, it didn't matter what the health was, it would one hit. Another theme you're going to see in this is taking out Wrecker in talents. This is kind of the start of that, where they are taking out those talents. So I absolutely think this should go into the stay out category. I understand that it could help end the sustain meta, but I don't feel like that talent is the way, because that talent is just way too busted. Buck. Bucking Madness. Eliminations increase your attack speed by 20% for 10 seconds. Okay, here's the thing. That also includes your ultimate, which already has increased attack speed. So I'm gonna have to say keep this out. Even though it is entertaining and fun, it would be so frustrating to fight against. We've all seen that level insane Buck who is playing Bounce House, who is just there to hurt your feelings. Cassie. Just Breathe. Crossbow shots deal 850 damage past 120 feet. re-add category because there's no harm in it, but I feel like her current talents are already better than this one. I don't feel like it's like ridiculously overpowered by any means, so that's why I'll put it in re-add, but it's not something that people are craving to have back. Dredge, freebooter. Allies may pass through your shortcut. So this one was a talent, and then it became a passive ability that he had. And then Evil Mojo had to learn what type of people main Dredge in 2019, and it was usually trolls, and people who really like to spam broadside. So they would place down their portals, and you would back up a few feet, and they will have placed the portal right behind you, and now you're teleported back to spawn, and you have to walk all the way back because the portal isn't 2 ways. It's also frustrating as Dredge when someone else uses your portal and now it's disappeared, and you don't have it when you need it. So I think that this should just stay out. Drogos, Reign of Terror. Salvo now activates instantly, always fires 6 shots, and its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. I do not think he needs this back. It's very painful to play against. I do remember this talent, and it hurts. It just does. Eevee, Reprieve. Heal 300 health per second during Ice Block. This is gonna go in the couldn't be re-added category, simply because this is now a card instead of a talent, because most people just ran this talent instead, because if you didn't heal for anything in your Ice Block. It had no healing capabilities. You were just sitting in the Ice Block. And so they added it to her card, so now you have the ability to heal in your Ice Block with your loadout instead of your talent. Fernando, Dragonfire Lance. Flame Lance now fires small fireballs that deal 120 damage every 0.2 seconds. I'm going to put this in the don't re-add category simply because he has Fireball already, and if it were to be added back, it probably would have to replace Fireball, and a lot of people really love Fireball. This Dragonfire card wasn't really highly played at the time either, which is why I think they chose it to be his card to take away. Furia, Celerity. Wings of Wrath gains an additional charge. I am deeply biased because I love Furia's movement ability. So I say re-add this, kick Solar Blessing to the curb, give me Celerity. I will play it every game. This talent is just so fun. At the time, I slept on it, I'll be honest. But I learned how to use her movement ability better since then. And man, what I would give for 2 charges of Wings of Wrath. If you're not going to give the talent back, make it her base kit. I don't even worry about it. Just make it the base kit. Grok, Wraith. When you take lethal damage, Ghost Walk activates and heals you for 15% of your maximum health. This probably does not need to be re-added. I would say that there's not really a need for it. This card was really frustrating to fight against, and I just don't really see a need to add it back into the fray. When he has plenty of sustain in his base kit, he doesn't need a talent that sustains him as well. Grover, Efflorescence. Increases the passive healing of Blossom by 100% and its radius by 50. So this one, the radius increase was made into a card for his loadouts, and the healing of Blossom was taken away because the passive healing of Blossom, but the radius was put into a card form. So I'm gonna say don't re-add this just because I don't feel like it's needed with his current cards that he has. Inara, Wrath of the Stigala. Hitting all 3 shots on the same target deals an extra 200 damage. This was a pretty unused talent whenever it was in the game, and I feel like today, Damage Inara with her Crippling Field is just fine. We don't need to add this into the mix. I just don't feel like it'd be very healthy for the game right now. Genos, Celestial Touch. When you cast Astral Mark on an ally, they are immediately healed for 10% of their maximum health. Honestly, I wouldn't mind this being replaced with his current healing talent. I'm gonna put don't re-add just because I feel like with the current champions we have in the game, like Yawgmoth or Rom, that it could be kind of a recipe for disaster with the 10% of their maximum health. So maybe in a different percentage or a different way, it could be added back to the game at some point. Con, Firing Line. Champions affected by Battle Shout Now also deal 20% increased damage and gain CC immunity for 4 seconds. This kind of goes back to that they're trying to remove damage buffing. So this, I would say, don't add back to the game. You know, they're trying to remove all of these things that buff people's damage in a way. And his Battle Shout just has way too low of a cooldown to have that many effects. Kinessa, Suppression. Oppressor Mines can now affect 2 targets, and sniper shots against enemies affected by mines deal 30% more damage. You can't really re-add this to the game. It's the same thing as Eevee, where part of it was added to their base kit, or in a card form, or in another talent. You can have a card that mines can now affect more than 2 targets. You can get up to 5 now. I'm not sure about the 30% more damage whenever they're affected by mines. I think it could be really interesting instead of the talent they have now for her. This could be a much more interesting integration, and it could make people be much more wary of her mines. But I am going to put couldn't be re-added since part of it is already put into her base kit and card form. Koga, Master of Arms. Successful hits with your submachine guns have a 50% chance to cost no ammo. This talent does not need to be re-added, because this talent requires you to do nothing except hit an enemy, and you have a 50% chance of no ammo cost. People made whole builds around this, and it was so ridiculous. Koga's never had to reload. It was insane. Lex, the Law One. Killing your Retribution target grants a 5% damage buff that stacks up to 5 times. There has already been conversation around his current Retribution talent, and if it's really fair or well-rounded. I don't particularly mind it that much, but I think that adding this talent back would be an overstep of where his Retribution could be seen as unbalanced. So I would say leave this out. Leon. Death and Taxes. Your weapon shots reduce the effective healing on your target by 90% for 1.5 seconds. You read that right. So basically, from second 1 in the game, Leon's had Cauterize 3. Not even Cauterize 3, because at the time, Cauterize couldn't go over 75%. They had what we have now at its max, 15 minutes into the game. They had that as second 1. This card absolutely needs to stay out of the game. Maeve. Artful Dodger. Activating 9 lives cleanses all crowd control effects and heals for 400. This has to go and couldn't be re-added simply because this is in her base kit now. A lot of people used to use this card, and I think it was a really good call on Evil Mojo's part adding this to her base kit. So couldn't be re-added, it's already there. Makoa. Davy Jones Locker. Your shell spin now lasts until cancelled, and you can control its direction. You became a turtle ping pong ball. It was so fun. This talent was so fun and entertaining. I loved when people played it because it's so ludicrous. Because it doesn't deactivate until you reactivate it to deactivate. I know that sounds weird, but you would fire your movement ability and you would just go endlessly. You could just go slamming through people back and forth, and no one could stop you. You could cripple them or slow them and it would pull them out of it. But unless they refired their movement ability and deactivated it, they were just ping-ponging around. Absolutely re-add this talent back. It was so fun. At least add like a temporary game mode with it. Maldumba, Lakono's Curse. Mending Spirits can now be used on enemies to deal 560 damage over 2 seconds. So the damage that it dealt was similar to Sky's Poison. This talent was interesting. I just feel like his current damage talent is better. So there's really no need to add this one back, in my opinion. Moji. Yummy. Consuming a victim of your ultimate recharges your ult by 50% and heals you for 1000 health. So Leon has this in her base kit, where if she kills somebody with her ultimate, she gets 50% back. This was a talent for Moji. I don't think this was particularly needed. I mean, Moji's ultimate can be helpful, but it's pretty situational and it's not always easy to catch the person, so ulting around their teammates is not ideal because they'll just kill you. So I would say don't re-add this, not because it's broken necessarily, but because it just wouldn't be beneficial or helpful. Pip. Mischief. Hits with your potion launcher reduce the cooldown of all their skills by 1 second. I actually think this could be re-added to the game. I don't really know what talent they would take away, but this was an interesting talent and it was pretty fun and interesting for people to kind of experiment with, because you could go a healing direction with it, but you could also go a pretty good damage direction with it. So I think that this would be interesting in today's meta. Ruckus. Recycler. Deal up to 40% more damage based on your missing health. This is deeply not needed to be added back. Ruckus is already hurt as is. If you get against a good Ruckus, they can be a pretty big menace. And I don't want to imagine them being a menace with this card, so don't add that back. Cirrus. Void Abides. Heal all allies within 50 feet of your Restore Soul target for 50% of the healing value. This will have to go and can't be added back in simply because this is now in her base kit. So if you're within 50 feet of her Restore Soul target, you'll get 50% of the healing value. That is just in the base game now. Shaolin. Shifting Sands. Killing an enemy resets the cooldown of Planted, and Planted deals 10% more damage. So this can't be added back because Shaolin had a rework. Planted is his old alt fire. Originally, he would plant down on the ground on one knee and shoot a bunch of arrows. Now, he does the same, except for you can move and walk with reduced movement speed. So this can't really be added back. I guess they could do it with the current alt fire, but I don't really think that's necessary. It is a damage buffing card, so probably not what they're looking at for right now. Sky. Surprise attack. Deal 500 bonus damage on your first weapon shot out of Hidden. This absolutely could be added back. Sky has some problems right now anyway with being viable, especially up in the higher tiers, and this card could give her kind of that push that she needs, that buff and damage that she needs to make her a little bit more viable. Even though I am a support main, have never really been a big fan of her healing card. I just don't really see a huge need for it. So I think that it could possibly be replaced by this, or possibly one of her other ones. There's just a lot of options, and I feel like this could be beneficial to add back. Strix. Ambush. Weapon shots made in stealth deal 15% more damage. This kind of goes back to that damage buffing and how they are kind of trying to go away from that. I don't think that this would be great to put back in the game because Strix can already be pretty good without this card, so I don't really think there's a need to add it back. Callus. Raging Demon. The duration of overcharge is increased by 1 second. So this can't be added back simply because it is now in card form. You can just use a card in your loadout instead of using this as a full talent. It wasn't a very good full talent anyway. Terminus. Seething Rage. Attack 20% faster when you have no charges of Calamity Blast stored. I don't think that this is needed to be added back simply because Damage Terminus is already really good, and I think his current cards are pretty beneficial to him. So switching out any of his talents with this wouldn't really be great for him. So I think just leave him the way he is and don't re-add this. Torvald. Alternating Current. Increases recharges duration by 1.5 seconds. This is such a simple talent that I feel like could just be made into a card, and there's really no need for it to be a full talent, so I'd say don't re-add it. Tyra. First Blood. Gain 30% lifesteal. We do not need to re-add this back. She just had full lifesteal at the beginning of the game, and she could buy up to the full item lifesteal. No need. Absolutely no need. So yeah, keep this out of the game. Victor. Firefight. Gain 30% damage bonus while hip firing. I'm going to say don't re-add this. I think his talents that he has right now are fine. I don't really see benefit in hip firing a lot of the time since the aim is just so awful with it. So I think that this card kind of encouraged people to have a worst play tactic a lot of the time. I don't know, I never used this card. I feel like it was very unused. Vivian. Sapper rounds. Deal 150% increased damage to shields. I am going to put a hot take out there. I think that this should be re-added back. Not with 150% though. I think that this could actually be re-added with a lower percentage, and it would help counter that sustain meta without being as bad as Demolish was. Willow. Scorched Earth. Dead Zone damages shields for 50% of their maximum health per second, and its cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. I am again probably going to get lit up in the comments for this. I think that this should be re-added. In a lower percentage, of course, but it would be a really good counter to the current shield sustain meta. So yeah, I think that this absolutely should be re-added to the game. And if they did, I think they would definitely have to modify it, same as Vivian's. Ying, Lifelink. Illusions can now target 2 allies when healing, but illusions heal for 20% less. I remember when this card got removed from the game, people were devastated. They loved this card. I have always hated this card. I'll be so honest. I never liked it. I always thought it was crappy. Any card or talent or anything that reduced my healing, I just never saw as beneficial. Even when healing 2 allies, it still wasn't that beneficial, because if you can't keep anyone up, then no one's fighting. So I'd rather be able to heal 1 person and keep that 1 person up than healing 2 people and both of them are still dying. Xin, Retaliation. After countering an attack, you remain in your counter stance, and counter attack deals 10% more damage. This was such a frustrating talent to play against, because he doesn't come out until the end of the cooldown. So he has so many get out of jail free cards. I think that this is the perfect talent that they chose to take out, and I think they should stick with it and keep it out of the game. Let me know what talents made your jaw drop and was like, that was in the game. Let me know what ones you really want back after seeing them now, what you agree with, what you don't agree with that I said. Let me know if you remember these, if you were around. I want all the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking through this video. I know it's a little long, and I will see you in the next one.